unmute me. So that's why nobody could hear us. We're good. We are good. They're probably like, what are you guys laughing about? No, the normal. All right. Well, awesome. We are a little bit early. Let's see here. I'll introduce our guest to everyone. No sound. I got you, Regina. Thank you very much. So you should be able to hear me now. And thank you for that. Okay. Yep. Good. Excellent. All right, guys. Well, welcome back to Everything Horses and More weekly podcast. I'm Caroline Best, the founder of the Untitled Horsemanship. You know who my lovely co-host is, Sabrina. In my screen, she's down below. She's here to take your questions. And our lovely guest today is Becky Wilkinson. And Becky is a Mastery Membership student. She's also a fellow Floridian. Pretty cool. Yeah, it has been nice. Well, welcome, my dear. Don't forget to hold your microphone. I know. Yes. Well, it will, trust us, it will be, because everybody can barely, hear us. It has to literally be right here. That's why they want you to wear headphones, so you can tell. Don't.
Yeah, kind of goofy, I guess, when you're here.
But when you look at professional podcasters, they all have headphones on, just about all of them, so they can hear themselves. But yeah, like a radio talk show. All right, well, we are here today. Our topic is, it doesn't always have to be about riding. There are other things you can do. And Becky's here for a private 3-day immersion. She did not bring her horse. So tell us a little bit about yourself, my dear. You've been around horses your whole life. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes. Western Horseman. Yeah. Horse Illustrated. Yeah. And let's talk about for a minute. He is beautiful. He's a strawberry roan Tennessee Walker, 16-1, built pretty, not stocky, but he's a thicker Tennessee Walker than some of the smaller or taller, skinnier, smaller framed horses. He's 10 and a half. Let me ask you this. When you had horses before, and you had 4, and you had a baby, and you had the mare rebreeding. Okay. Now, you were just pleasure riding. You were just going recreational. Okay, gotcha. Like most people, like all of us. And so everything was pretty peachy. Like you weren't looking for a formal education, like the Mastery Membership. You were enjoying horses, enjoying living in upstate New York. Beautiful. So when you got back into horses, and we're talking, you're my age, a few years younger. So you were in your 20s to 30 when you had your horses, got out of horses, you came back into horses. Why are you here? Like, what's the difference? You guys see where I'm connecting the dots. It's like
they can't hear her.
Oh, okay. Do we need to put her volume up a little bit?
I think you're probably going to have to.
Let's play with your volume, put it like on 5%.
On Zoom, you muted yourself. You might have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, because
put your volume down. See if that's
so that is correct. When I do with Brad is not muted, but we can't overtalk or I echo. I can hear me echoing on his end.
That's why I turn my off.
Yep.
Because we echo.
Yep. Okay. So turn, unfortunately. Good. Let's just mute you. And then you guys just let us know. You should be able to hear.
Better?
Just say hi.
Hello.
Let us know.
Hello.
All right. Well, I'll keep asking the question. Okay. Everybody can let us know that you've heard Becky. So this is what I'm getting at. What made you decide 20 years later to not just get another horse? Obviously, horses are important to you, but not just ride recreationally like so many people do with the boarding facility you're at, right?
Yeah.
They're not interested in what you're doing.
No.
So what made it change for you?
I just knew that I wanted I wanted an actual relationship, with him. The people at the barn really don't, they're out there once a week,
Yeah.
maybe twice a week, a Saturday and Sunday, right? The piss out of them
I know.
and then leave,
Yep.
and that's just not who I am. He's part of my family. So I make it a point to get out there, try every single day. Sometimes it's,
Oh yeah.
depending on
Good
weather.
about that. You're so committed.
Yep. And so, it's not that he had any bad habits, but I would see how other people were riding. And I was like, that just can't be right, way over collected, that chin. I mean,
Well, that's not
almost
even
tucked
collection.
under.
That's not
It's-
even collection. People think it is when a horse is in the roller, or
Mhm.
that's called hyperflexion.
It's
And it's
awful.
very damaging to the
Mhm.
esophagus and to the muscle structure of the neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think where I'm headed with this, because there's, we get older, we get wiser. And of course, there's technology now that has changed where everything is at our fingertips.
Yes.
Our Facebook.
We're dropped.
We
I'm
dropped it.
dropped. Are you guys okay?
So for now I am.
Okay, cool.
You're coming back. There you are.
I'm good.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, hopefully we stay connected to the internet. Speaking of the internet, but yeah, through technology, we have more available to us. It's almost like information overload though.
It is. And that's a
So that's-
problem for me.
Well, it's for
It's like-
everybody. It's like, how do you siphon through not just YouTube, but siphon, what about the Facebook ads and who
Mhm.
appears on your Facebook?
Right. And just doing research in general,
Yep, yeah.
Different training techniques and things.
Absolutely. So that's all. Yeah, no, I get it. And I know that I have a really strong presence on YouTube when it comes to relationship. I mean, I think I stand out above, I don't care,
Everybody. Yep.
everybody. I mean, you
Yeah.
see it. You take the time to see the love and the bond and the willingness and the wanting. And then when you come here to experience the knocking on the door,
Mhm.
pick me, throw
Yeah.
the pad down, you haven't seen all that, but they'll throw their halters. It's pretty cool.
Mhm.
And then to be out working in the afternoon with the whole herd, they're eating, but they're also, if they weren't eating, they'd be around us.
Yeah.
So it's really, that is what it's all about. And then how do you, I think this is the hardest part, and we're going to get into what me, you guys, I'm always going around the topic and coming back. We're going to get back into the topic, but, I can't emphasize enough that 99% of you guys have damaged horses, just like we are damaged. And it's really hard to achieve that dream relationship and that dream ride when your horse needs to be rehabilitated first, before they're open and they feel safe and secure enough to take care of you, not just themselves.
Right.
So that's a big piece of it. And that ties into this topic because there's so much. I always say 75% of my methodology to developing horses and training horses, which you're learning through the Mastery Membership Program, 75%, if not greater, is on the ground.
Yep.
In every way, the emotional, the mental, the biomechanics, the physical, and the relationship. And then you bring that, like icing on the cake, you bring that to the ride. You bring that to the riding.
Yeah. It's great.
So yeah. Okay, so let's start off with your first question. This is great. This is really good stuff.
So my first question was really just an observation, really.
Mhm.
Spending time with him without any agenda, just taking my little wagon out into the field with, my cooler and whatever, and just
Yes.
sitting out there in the middle of the herd,
Yes.
Um,
Beautiful.
I've learned a lot about all of the horses out there, actually, not
Yeah.
just mine. But I think that not having an agenda, you say it all the time, don't have a plan, but,
Mhm. Don't be fixated.
don't be fixated on it.
An agenda. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Just things.
sometimes just being brings your relationship closer.
It does. And that's exactly, if you didn't say that, I would say that. So, you know, I've had a chance to get to know Becky's horse, even though her horse isn't here, just from pictures, sharing pictures on her phone and what she has on her computer. And definitely your horse is like everyone else, he has triggers. But when he's allowed to just bond with you and be a horse and in that relationship with you, there's no pressure, so he feels very safe at that level. His true personality comes out.
Yep.
And that's just, I mean, that's where we have to start. That's the glue that's gonna bind everything. And I think that's the trickiest part when you're learning how to develop your horse through the method, is how do you maintain that relationship while you're learning, and then you're trying to rehabilitate your horse at the same time. I think that's something I really want to push home with you guys, and also give you, you know, and we're going to dive in a little bit deeper with the questions Becky has, a lot of opportunity here to do a lot with your horse in very small, subtle ways that are extremely helpful and very meaningful to both you and your horse, not just in how you share your time together, because relationship is so important to horses, but to your horse that can also help that rehabilitation process without going into the round pen. It's a big trigger, and okay, now we got to dive into the lunging and we've got to work through.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little things that I'm gonna take you into that journey of what you've already learned at home. Now you're refining it here. Now, how do we make it, just take it into less work, and more opportunity? Sabrina, can you do me a favor and just turn the kitchen light on? I'm like really dark behind me. I've got, as I face Becky, I'm gonna kind of have conflicting light here. Thank you, hon. See if that doesn't help. Yep, helps a little bit. Okay. So the bean, yes, that is huge. What else do you want to expand on or ask next?
So in Florida, it's really, really hot.
Yeah.
So
what do you do when it's raining, lightning out, when it's hot, or snowing and frozen?
Yeah.
And yep, done it all. So this is where you've got to be creative. And first of all, what's your objective? Let's start there. What's your objective? Like, I can tell you what I need to do as a trainer when horses are here to be developed.
Right.
I have to, they're on a time schedule. So if it's lightning and raining, or when I was in Maryland and Pennsylvania, it was freezing rain, or it was too cold or too icy or too snowy, and I didn't have an indoor, how do you maximize your time? How do you keep developing the horse?
Right.
And developing your relationship? So that's the beauty of the MMP. You just have to make it so linear as students. We can't see beyond the possibilities. Like, we're like, oh my God, here's and I'm watching Caroline, and I'm reading the tutorial, and I have to do it just like this. So let's take an example of an exercise. You can't go outside the barn, it's crappy weather. I don't care what the temperature is, it's just crappy out. Or you only have a half an hour. How do you maximize?
That's probably more realistic.
Yeah, how do you maximize the time? How do you take what you're learning? And honestly, guys, you have to have a guide, because what are you going to do? Except, and I have plenty of students out there, before they start the MMP, they're asking questions about the program. Well, I spend a lot of time with my horse. I groom my horse. I do this. We spend a lot of time doing nothing. But you could also put a lot more quality into what you're doing if you have a guide. And the quality isn't just, it's maximizing that time and maximizing the connection, the ability to have a conversation, and the ability to help your horse become or maintain an open learning mind. So what can you do in that half an hour? So you need a guide, right? Or you're not gonna know what to do. You're just gonna stay idle, which is
doing the same
thing. Doing the same thing. And you're like, okay, this is great. We have a great bond. My horse loves me. My horse comes to me. My horse snickers to me. My horse is connected to me. But the minute I start to tack them up, or I start to lunge them,
ask them to actually do
anything, the pressure of asking them, they freeze, they go into self-preservation mode, and it just goes to shit, right?
Or they give you a little attitude, fling the head, and I don't want to participate.
Yeah, that, and you know, we bring a lot of that up. And one of, Becky, you're here, so you've seen you've seen like Mateo, when I worked with Mateo yesterday for the first time, and this was a beautiful thing, and his mom might be listening. She's a student too, and she does tune into the podcast. It was a beautiful thing to see him get an attitude when I sent him out,
Yeah.
instead of going into self-preservation mode and freezing or panicking. So, but there's always that fine line. Like, I want to see that at his level because I know that he's getting confident now in the work.
Right.
But if you constantly see an attitude with your horse, that is definitely part of their personality, could be part of the age, could be part of their personality. You'll see that a lot with very dominant mares. They're always going to give you the finger.
Mm.
Okay, a lot of them. But it could be age, could be a lack of maturity. Even though he's 10 and a half, he's never had a formal education. So you're asking him to focus,
Right.
and it's hard. He's like, oh, screw this. You want me to do this now? We were just loving and having a good time. But you'll really see that with young horses too. And unfortunately, it gets beaten out of them. And I'm not just saying physically beaten out of them. They get the piss run out of them. They get punished, you guys, for being a teenager. Do you have a question? Okay. Sorry. So, I often have this due to heat, and like I said, when I was up in Pennsylvania before my landlord built the indoor, we had the biggest snowstorm in like 15 years. We got dumped as soon as we moved up there with like 4 feet of snow. I had some short YouTube video from 2009 and 2010, and we got dumped again around Christmas or after Christmas. The point I'm making is we had nothing but a driveway. So I asked my landlord, the horses, I mean, we couldn't even go out in pasture, right? Because it was 4 feet high, 3 to 4 feet high. So I said to my landlord, when you get done doing the mile-long driveway, can you do the little parking area in front of the barn? We could use around 10. And I was full-time horses training, right? So you keep doing the same work. You just might have to go straight instead of circles. And of course, you have to watch out for the parking lot becoming ice. And so if you have a stall, what can you do in there? You can still work on a particular level of showing up. Meaning, I'm not just loving on you and then standing up and asking you to come to me. I might ask you to come to me in 3 seconds. Can you come to me in 3 seconds? Can I open the stall door and can I send you out? Can I back you up, send you back in? Can I do this not only online, but at Liberty? When you can strengthen these two exercises and strengthen the ability to have a connection and a conversation and a healthy level of response where the horse isn't panicked, not just doing it because he's afraid of getting in trouble, or not going into self-preservation mode when it's free flowing like you're experiencing with my guys. Even like Lovey lets herself out of the stall and you just, Lovey, yep, come back into the stall. When you can have that exchange, and that was at Liberty. I mean, holy cow.
It's beautiful.
It's pretty
It
tight.
is. Mhm.
It's pretty tight. There's a lot you can do, especially if you have my barn in Maryland was all dirt, the dirt floor. So believe me, there were times where I just took that whole aisle, I chewed it up, and I'd have to rake it, at the end. It had clay, so it was clay and sand. But how can you, I know you said clay, Clint is fantastic, not clay. Clint is fantastic with picking up his feet for you, but there's so many things you can do. If your horse isn't great with fly spray, or your horse isn't great with particularly getting a bath, if you can bathe them inside, or just work on particular areas of bathing without getting everything wet. And what about, can you teach your horse, which I teach you how to teach your horse to pick up their hooves for you? What are all these mindful games, so to speak, that you can do that exercise the brain, get the horse thinking and participating, and staying connected and and learning your horse at the same time. There's so much you can do in a stall as long as it's safe for you and safe for the horse. There's a lot. There's tons of horses I've got over the years that were absolutely wild, not wild horses, but just so petrified with fear. And I couldn't even lead them. So I couldn't lead them from the stall to the, they had to spend time in the stall with a walkout paddock. And that's where our relationship and our development, it wasn't even training. It was just me. I have to break through that for them to even learn.
Right.
So we spent the first month just working there. And they'd run out of stall into the paddock, and I'd go and we'd work out there and back in. And I'm like, okay, we're going to keep doing this until you can feel safe and comfortable with me with pressure, because pressure is such a big issue, such a big issue. And I know that you don't have that kind of setup where you're at. I'm familiar with where you're at. I've been there before. And that's, what we were trying to strategize yesterday is how can you set up your schedule so that maybe, for all of you, if you only have a half an hour, can you talk to the people that are feeding your horse to either leave them in the stall so you can get there in the morning and spend a half an hour between grooming them and leading them out to the pasture. And that whole leading is an exercise, isn't it? The way I teach it. First you're leading for respect of space and action, and then you're asking, not immediately, but in time, then you're doing the partner walk leading, where the horse is beside you and in that mindful presence and energetic presence with you. But it doesn't start there.
Yep.
So you see, you've got all these exercises. How do you think outside the box and use them as a guide to developing the relationship more, to developing your horse's confidence as a learner?
Right. Yeah.
It's huge. There's so much you can do. No, do you have any questions about that, or
No.
does anybody have any questions? What's your next question?
So how do you encourage or nurture their play drive? As you say, they all have it, but it's all been, shut down in a lot of them. Weren't allowed to, or so how do you get that to come back?
Down. So yeah, the play drive, the hierarchy of a horse's needs they go like this: safety, comfort, food, and then play. And play's on the bottom and very similar to lying down, which they only do once a day. I mean, our domesticated horses lie down a lot more, but in the wild they'll only do it once for like a half an hour. So why is play on the bottom? Because they are at their most vulnerable. So let's just talk about the natural instincts of wild horses. And this is so challenging because for a lot of people to comprehend, because we're just used to domesticated horse behavior. And our domesticated horses over centuries, thousands of years, hundreds of years, has been absolutely destroyed. Their natural instincts, horses, domesticated horses, have been completely shot.
Sad.
They don't play. You rarely see a happy, healthy, domesticated herd that plays and shares food and enjoys each other's company. You rarely do. And so instead, you see horses that are beating each other up, that are chasing each other off of food, that have all sorts of displaced anxieties. And we've created all of this. We've destroyed their mothers, the brood mares. We've, forget the stallions, we only use them. Most people only use them for breeding. So they don't give a shit how they handle them. And they don't give a shit about the brood mares. Brood mares have it the worst. I haven't met one brood mare that wasn't completely shut down by everything, because they have no education and they are so roughly handled to be bred. Whether it's artificial or live, it's disgusting, whether they're hobbled or thrown in a chute. And they've all been, have chains around them. And it's really sad, you guys, the state of our horses still. So getting back to natural instincts, in the wild, when the herd feels safe, and this is usually only youngsters will play. You'll see stallions fighting, but really we all understand that there's one stallion per band of mares. There's always rogue stallions that are been kicked out trying to find or steal mares and form their own herd. The play amongst the youngsters will not happen unless the herd as a community is protecting them and keeping, vigils, like they're watching out for everything. Because think about this is the common sense of it. If you're playing, you're distracted. If you're playing, you're not paying attention to your environment. That's why the babies are protected by the elders who are paying attention.
Right.
But if the babies start playing too rough, too loud, that could attract a cougar, whatever it is, a bear, a wolf, whatever. They will, they don't get punished, but they will be reprimanded. So it's really wild. no pun intended, to watch this. And my first experiences were living close to Chincoteague Island for a long time. And then when I always studied the wild Chincoteague ponies, and they may not be obviously as feral as wild Mustangs because they're on Chincoteague Island and they have tourists that feed them French fries out of their car. But that's all you're going to be able to do. You know, they're still, you're going to have stallions on the beach, you're going to have stallions fighting, you're going to see herds, you're going to see babies. You're still not going to be able to touch them. You know, you can't do anything with them. But it's really amazing to watch a really peaceful, harmonious herd of horses and how they interact and contribute. And but play really only exists in the youth, so to speak, and the play drive is its strongest in young horses because it's part of how they distinguish and figure out their pecking order, where they fit in. And once they figure it out, and that's what horses are all about, that's why they're such amazing partners. We grew up. Once they figure out where they fit in, then that's established. That hierarchy is established. And it doesn't mean it can't change. You know, certain horses will help other horses. One horse might be afraid of another horse, but then their best friend isn't afraid of that horse. I mean, they all have different personalities, just like us. If the three of us in this room, you know, one of us might like the other more than the other, but then the one we like the most might like the other person and not us.
Right.
It's pretty cool when you think about it. Horses are very independent when it comes to deciding, and they really like to decide who they want to be with, both in mating and in life and in community, raising their offspring. So birds of a feather flock together, basically. But the play drive exists in a lot of our, how do you see play drive? Like, I see it all the time in my older horses because of the way that they start grooming or the way that they play halter tag. And so it's a much quieter form of play. It's not as demonstrative. Like you'll see the 5-year-old Mustang Lando playing with my 3-year-old, and they'll rear and they'll chase each other around and they'll be a lot more demonstrative. But that starts to go away just as they mature,
Right.
and the play takes a different form. So what I'm trying to say is instinctively and naturally, as horses age, the play drive goes away more and more. But how do we, as human partners to our horses, bring out that play drive? And not all horses have a strong play drive.
Right.
That's just like, that's like assessing a horse for their natural agility, both physically and mentally. There's a word for it. I can't think of it. It's like, what do they want to do? It's like Sundance will do Liberty with me, but she doesn't like it. She doesn't offer it. There's a difference when the horse offers you Liberty and you get to see Lovey. I mean, we're trying to do some focused work with Love, and she does it for you. As soon as Mom gets in there, she's like, can we play now? Can we play now? And so there's that consensual partnership where I'm like, okay, no problem. We'll get right back to showing Becky what I wanted to show Becky, but let's play for a little bit. Let me give you what you want, so you give me what I want. But
Right.
not Zord doesn't want to play. So it's like the more dominant, what I found, this is what I found to be true. The more dominant your horse is, the more they are predisposed to be in charge of the herd, which means they are predisposed to be more of a caregiver and a protector. And that is definitely Sundance and definitely Zord.
Definitely not Clint.
Yeah. But those are some of the traits where you go, okay, my horse is more dominant and more in charge of the herd and more protector. Doesn't mean they're not a lover or anything like that, you know, but the play drive comes with a horse that, think of it like humans, that is a little more immature in some ways, has a high work ethic. Play drive comes with a high work ethic. I said that all the time. I've said that for years. Does your horse want to work with you? And how does that show up? And the hardest part for all of you guys is your horses are damaged.
Yep.
So they're afraid of everything.
Yep.
Most of them are. Most of them are afraid. So it's like, you can spend as much time as you want with Clint, doing all the right things and enjoying the hell out of each other, and him nibbling on you. And he's got quite a personality.
He does,
He's
yeah.
beautiful inside out. But the minute you start to try to nurture that and develop that, he goes into self-preservation mode, either panics or freezes. So you have to work through those blocks in order to get back to really opening him up and freeing him up so that you can explore more with him. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And I don't encourage, one of the many things I could not stand about Pirelli is, and it was very popular when I was learning Pirelli many, many years ago, was this bring the big, well, everything's a selling point for them. Here, buy the big green Pirelli ball and let's play ball with the horses and let's do all of these fun games. I couldn't do that with my horses. They freaking run away from that shit. All three of them, the Trinity, would run away. And I was like, okay, what's wrong with me and my horse? What don't I understand here? But nobody explained at that point that your horse has got fear. Your horse is most likely, if they're not open and confident and trusting and feel safe, that play drive is not going to come out, right? Because they're going to be in their hierarchy modes.
Right.
If you catch, like if Smokey, when I would watch Smokey, when I first got my horses back in Maryland, I would watch him. Yes, he had a jolly ball and he played with the jolly ball and he played with my laps. But the minute I came out there, everything changed. I was a human. I came with intense pressure just inside of me, with focus, and I was linear, and I was a human being.
Right.
One of the also though for Smokey, because I could see naturally that he had a high play drive. Without me, that was just him on his own out in the field or with the dogs. So one of the best ways to help rehabilitate him, because he was so badly beaten and abused with whips and you couldn't get around his face or his tail, is the story of one of my fields, 4-acre fields, had not been developed. I hadn't put a barn on there yet for more horses yet. And I just bought the farm. And so I would let it, get to be hay. And it would be like 3 feet high. And I would just hide the lunge whip down in the tall grass. And we'd go out there on line, but I had like a 20, 30-foot line. And he was starting to play with me a little bit, right? So I'm like, okay, let me see if I can just bring this up without you even focusing on it as obviously then that was the aha for me as an extension of me. But I'm just going to it's going to show up real subtle. It's not going to be, we're just going to be playing and like Lovey. You saw Lovey at Liberty this morning. Think of Smokey like that, but on a 20-foot line and sending him out and he's, running around me, good run, not running like he's trying to get away from me in the tall grass. And all of a sudden here comes the lunge whip. And then the lunge whip is just now a part of us. I couldn't touch him with it, couldn't hug him with it. That's what I designed to help him. Smokey's the one that basically designed the whole program. Smokey, all three of them did. So I'm like, okay, here it is. And he'd be like this. I'm like, yeah, focus on me again. Here it is. And he'd be like, oh, no, focus on me again. Before you know it, it was touching him and moving with him. So it helped when we were out of a more concrete workspace, so I wouldn't be so linear about forcing the whip on him, which becomes what, you guys? Desensitizing. And you could desensitize the frick out of that horse, and he would blow. Yours desensitizing. Believe me, I tried it because that's all I knew in the beginning. That's what was being taught all the time. It's still being taught all the time. So I learned the hard way with Smokey that was the worst thing you could do is desensitize him. He'd either... I've been horizontal so many times by him bolting sideways, like in the air, horizontal. I've had more learn burns than you can imagine by not letting go of that rope. And then on the ground, he would bolt and he would bolt under saddle, but he would also go catatonic. So, I mean, you just never knew what you were going to get. And then he'd blow. You never knew what you were going to get for a long time. So I did not do bareback with him for a long time. Western saddle. So the play drive, if your horse is mouthy, it can mean a high play drive, but it doesn't necessarily mean that all the time. Mouthy horses, I always say a busy mouth and busy feet mean a busy mind. So you don't know yet until you go through part of this rehabilitation process, which is a restoration process of bringing him back to his authentic self he really is. to displace behavior. Oh, my horse is really mouthy. He's always licking me.
Yeah.
You don't know. Could be a combination of salt, affection, and maybe it's a nervousness in him. Horses are so like us, it's unbelievable. You can have a nervous eater that dives into food. Horses, yep. Most of the horses I've ever worked with, including my very own that have been starved, never get over it. It gets a little bit easier, but they still act like, oh my God, where's the food going? Where's the food? Where's the food? It's yeah.
Sad.
Yes, defensive ears pinned back. You're right. Look at Blue. What a mess. And that was just as a baby, unfortunately, having to fight for food, either from his mother or the other foals.
Right.
I mean, it started right there, you guys. The anxiety starts at that age. He had a crazy mama and a crazy experience with all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not into bringing balls and those types of gadgets because I don't want my horse to, I say this too, you're creating or fostering or nurturing, either one or all three, more fractiousness and a lack of focus. I want my horse to be able to start with focus and the ability to be quiet, like you see with all the horses you've worked with so far go to sleep.
Yep.
Until you're ready to do something, don't they?
Yep, they do.
It's a discipline of mind. You don't see them nervous, waiting. You don't see them blowing you off and going to eat grass, except Zor did a little bit. That's Zor. But he didn't leave you to go do that.
He did.
He just did that when you were asking him to walk out. He's pushing your
He
buttons.
was en route.
Yep, en route is right. So that's the aha moment. You're like, yeah, I want my horse to be able to cock a foot and rest with me, truly rest with me because he feels so safe. That's why we do so much grounding work. But then the minute my energy shifts, my intention shifts, I want him to be focused on me and to be with me, to participate with me. So target practice is one of the things. And it's not the target practice you guys think of out there. It's not like clicker. There are no treats. My level of target practice, and I've been using this for years. It's just, I'm like, now it's become a new thing, but it's all about treat training and trick training. Target practice for me is focus training. And we're going to explore that later. You're already learning the power of your eyes and your energy and showing the horse where you want to go. So now we're going to explore that in a more deeper, detailed way. Because you can turn that into play and trick. And with a horse like Smokey, he was picking, I was able to teach him to pick things up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was able to teach him all of my Trinity to push the big balls. And back at the ranch, when I had a dear friend of mine, her kids were down all the time because her horse Deca was with me. So we don't have it on film, but we have pictures of it where me and kids were either Smokey, Legend, I might have been on Deco and Sundance, and we're all playing with one of those big balls, but it's got a cover on it like a soccer ball.
Yep.
And the horses we're all playing with it. And the horses are literally, we're on teams and they're playing with it and pushing the ball.
I have one.
Yeah.
And he pushes it, but
Yeah.
it's, it's like, what is this? What is this in my way? I'll push it back.
So here's the difference. And this could be at any age, because when Smokey wasn't afraid of the ball with me, I saw him play with it with the dogs. When he was afraid of it with me, then he would move it. Blue has popped how many of those big balls? You see how he's damaged the pickle barrel out there and how he'll spin it. Talk about play drive. And so it's strong and innate in him. Now I've got insane with Joey. Joey's got a huge play drive, but Joey's also afraid of a lot of things. And these are all thoroughbreds. So you got to look at work ethic. It's bred into them. And that's part of that racing.
Right.
But it's really a work ethic. And that's how you can distinguish and you go, wow, play drive is always work ethic. Anytime like people are like, but if you don't know how to direct it and guide it, then it becomes a nuisance, distracting. It becomes obnoxious to me because the horse doesn't know how to get quiet. They're into everything. So you have to be careful with that because sometimes that's nervous energy. They get preoccupied because they don't want to focus on you. That direct attention is pressure.
Right. Yeah.
right? It's no different than you and I. Look at people that can look each other in the eye when they talk and people that look away. Because shy, more timid people have a hard time with that direct pressure. It's very over-facing and overwhelming. And every horse has a different personality too. So you have to figure out, some horses are more introverted and shy, but the point I'm making is the ones that are more extroverted and gregarious, like your guy, lean towards the more playful side and lean towards the more just a natural proclivity. That was the word, the P word, proclivity to working. They want to work with you. It's bred, you guys, it's bred. You can't teach, let me back up. You can teach a horse to work with you. That's what the MMP is. But you don't want to teach, you don't want to make them.
Right.
You know, and the beauty of a horse with a high play drive, high work ethic is they want to work with you. They love figuring things out. They love feeling accomplished. They really do. I mean, there's a whole pride that comes into it, which is a lot of intelligence, because there's a bit of ego in there. And ego is really only associated with the third, not lobe, but to the human brain has 3 parts to it. Horses only have 2, but that ego is associated with the frontal lobe, the third part of our brain. Human, not horse. But I have horses that have ego. And their ego, Legend is one of them. I can hurt Lay's feelings just like that if I'm not careful. I can misinterpret or not be in the mood for him really being needy and wanting to show off, like yesterday, and being all proud and his gimpy, you know, he's crippled.
Oh my God, he's adorable.
And if I didn't participate, I would have hurt his feelings. And yeah, and his hurt feelings are no different than an intelligent dog's hurt feelings or a human. You know, he just would have walked off. He would have been all forlorn and sullen, and just, you'd see the sadness. You'd just see the sadness, and the whole body would just be like this instead of all like this, the bravado.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
it is.
So being able to play with your guy, yeah. You know, the stuff is complicated. Like I gave you the example of Smokey. You know, once we could get to some level of energy, which is where the play is too, right?
Yeah.
You saw me getting Lovey mirroring my energy.
Yeah.
Once Smokey could be okay with that level of energy, I still couldn't come on any stronger. I just kept hitting that roadblock, you guys. And you couldn't desensitize Smokey. He would just go either catatonic or he'd just blow. I mean, there's just no way. And I didn't feel good. I hated desensitizing.
Right.
So yeah, it doesn't feel good, man. You're just deadening your horse. So I'm like, let me be creative about this. And that's where the tall grass came in. It changed everything. Those kinds of moments are real aha moments when you can think out of that box. And when I say think out of the box, I'm thinking, what is in the best interest of my horse? You know, we're always taught with horsemanship to just make it happen, go after it. You're boss, you're in charge, do it. And this horse is going to be obedient.
And that's why I looked you up, because I was like, no.
It doesn't feel good.
It doesn't, no.
And you'll hit even more obstacles with your horses if you're not careful. And with, you know, with the program and with me, I was like, how can I make this better for him? How can I make this better for him? How can I help him understand that this is a good thing? This isn't anything to be afraid of. So a lot of you have to come out of that. Like when you watch me with my horses, if I want them to be expressive and to be open and their play to be activated, they mirror me, don't they?
They do.
So here we go. I'm smiling. Yes, girl. You know, there's all sorts of conversation going on energetically, noises, whether I'm trying to whistle to get her to come back or I'm blowing, you know, it's one of my favorite, you know, energy.
Yeah.
If I done that in the beginning, which is Lovey, like I knew not to, and then I had like it took years for Lovey to get that confident. Like I said, it wasn't until we started filming a 90-day, 12-week retraining the thoroughbreds, Lovey, Billy, and Joey, that she just started to really understand it and take off with that. But she would have been through the fence with that. And I mean, that's what just blows my mind so much of the training out there. I mean, this may be a longer road, but in the end, it is a secure road. So Lovey scooped this morning, which was really interesting for us while we were talking and going through some simulations in the round pen. When Lovey was sleeping, clearly sleeping against
Yeah,
the
she was
pen.
out.
Yep, she was out. And we never heard anything, never saw anything. And so she's up against a round pen panel. And all I remember, because my back was to her,
Mhm.
but we were engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all I remembered, by the time I turned around, she did a rollback and into the panel, you guys, and then spun around and went to the right. And then I turned around and she stopped. And then she's like looking over at the neighbors like cows. We didn't see anything.
Blowing.
Nothing, didn't hear anything, blowing. She
yeah.
wanted to keep going. Like she had that springy,
Mhm.
she wanted to keep going, but I stopped her.
Mhm.
And then, she came over to me and joined us. But I said to you, she would have never done that if you were on her. And the fact that she even did that, I think she was dreaming. I think she was so deep in her REM.
Mhm.
Got her.
Yeah.
Could have been energy. Maybe she just tuned into us because we didn't hear or see anything. And we got quiet for like 5 minutes just looking. And she was just like glued, like looking. Like what was that? What was that? And then she came down and she was fine. But the point at the security I want to talk about, Sabrina films with me. She's here every day. So, it's shit happens all the time and my horses never flip out. And they're dead asleep and I'm talking to the camera and I may not even have the reins in my hands and there's stuff going on. And even if Lovey would spin around, it would have been nothing like that. It would never have been like a bolt. She did a frickin' rollback.
Yeah.
But into the round pen panel, which was weird, why did she come towards us and go? Something triggered her. That's what I'm saying. It's weird. Could have been. It's gonna be Halloween. I like that, Sabrina. Listen, evil goes.
We'll go with that.
Evil juju. You never know, you guys. But anyway, all right, my dear. Keep on asking. You got anything else?
No, I think that.
So I mean, you can introduce the ball. You already have to him, but how far do you get with it?
It's. I put it in a little paddock with him, and I was in there, and we had him out. Do it, looked at it, nosed it. He was fine with it, had no problem. I walked around, he followed me around, I got on the other side of the ball. He kicked the ball out of the way. It was no problem.
Yeah.
He really.
So the difference is a high play drive, he would have in high play drive combined with confidence, and he was confident.
He was confident, yeah.
He would have messed with that on his own.
Yeah.
He would have. So you can encourage that, though, is what I'm saying. And how do you know? I don't know. I don't know to what level his play drive is going to go.
Right.
You won't know until you're able to try this, that, and the other with him, and to see. Know that what you're learning in the Mastery membership builds on everything, and one of the things that we talked about this morning is I do not introduce play liberty. Liberty is definitely part of the program. In the very beginning, we do it in spirituality, but in a different way. The first course, it will be energy and connection and yada, yada, yada. Because why? The horse needs to be mentally and physically balanced before you guys start playing, or you're going to mess them up. You're going to hurt them. And mentally, most of our horses can't handle pressure. Look at all the I do with Lovey to get her to do the Spanish walk or to rear or to do spins or to go back and forth. I mean, all that stuff is energy.
Yeah.
It's not a trick. And God, I would have blown her mind years ago doing that to her. So that's why I build you gradually. You're testing your horse, seeing how they can handle all types of pressure, mental pressure, physical guiding pressure. And then once you know that your horse can handle walk, trot, in a canter and be agile, self-regulate, then you're like, wow, man, now you've got the mental balance. You can playing with this. Let's start adding the change of direction, and because you're not afraid of intense pressure and me pushing you and pulling you and sending you. If you did that right now, you'd blow his mind.
Would.
And you know that. Yeah. So, yeah. But then again, I know there's a lot of people out there, man, your horses play with everything, right? You know, they have a natural proclivity. They have a high play drive at whatever age.
Yes.
Absolutely. But you can nurture that. To what level? Like I developed it in Sundance. She's super, super smart horse. She gets bored really easy. So she's just like, she'll give it to me. And sometimes when I let her, she and Legend out with the big herd, and I walk out to spend time with them, if I see her standing there, and you've caught this a couple of times, staring at me, I know she wants a little play. So I'll go and zigzag around those trees, and she'll jump the log, she'll come and find me. It's fun. But then she's done. And she's like, I'm out of here. Remember, she's dominant. She's more lazy. She's got a good go button. We know that. But she's just like, she's smart. She's really smart. She figures out. And that's also a strong instinct. You know who's a really good lead horse when they really want to conserve their energy. Because in the wild, horses conserve their energy to travel all those miles. You know, they're not running around losing their heads.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's pretty smart about that. Anybody have any questions out there?
It's freezing a lot. They say.
It is
So
freezing.
they're going to, like Lydia, she said she'll just watch it again.
Oh, sorry about that, you guys.
Yeah.
And then
It's a little bit of an echo.
so
Why don't we look into that?
you
Oh,
can't, when you're close together.
yeah.
already, it's the same room and you have your.
And then how do people do podcasts when they do it all the time? You've always got
They
a
have
guest
one recording, like we did at the podcast over
when we were on the
when we
radio
saw,
show.
it wasn't really,
Oh, that's right. It's recorded. It's never really, but they always say it's live.
it's on Facebook, but they have their little gadgets like you do on the camera. There's one camera pointing to them.
Yeah.
It's like a whole system.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh, yeah, it's more than that.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
It's a whole thing, isn't it, you guys?
And they
Oh,
didn't
that
have their,
stinks. They didn't have their.
no, that's what I'm saying, like some do, some don't.
Yeah. All right. Well, we do the best we can. Sorry.
We do.
Oh, thank you, Becky. And you're good? You're
Good.
good? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure, well, you're gonna be here until Thursday, so I'm sure we'll have, anything comes up, you'll ask.
I will.
I
For
know.
sure.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for staying with us. And hopefully you guys, this will be on YouTube and you guys can listen to it that way. And then we always, Buzzsprout, you know, we send a reminder to our entire email list every Monday. So thank you. Sorry about the freezings. I know it's gonna be distracting when you're listening. And then next week we have Erica. We're back with Erica. Yay! So that will be self-care for the third chakra, everyone, and how this can help you in your horse relationships. The third chakra,
Awesome.
the fire chakra, the power chakra.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. May you all be one with your horse. Mwah. God bless you guys. Bye. And thanks again, Becky.
Yes, my pleasure.
All right.